back with another listener viewer questions. This is not Todd's tips or numbers. Dad and John are on the couch over there, a little bit different as usual. Usually Dad and I are right there, but we're going to be talking about Dad's journey, how he got into voiceover, some things that maybe led to it, and then his years 1 through basically 14 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so Johnny was kind of there at the start. I was in high school. So I don't know all the ins and outs, but John was there. So he's going to help Dad out and remember things and talk about some stuff. So we will get to that right now.
Yeah, so I have a piece of paper here. You'll see us reference it just simply because we didn't want this to take forever and a day. And, sometimes old people can go on and on and on. And I'm the only old person in the room, so it's directed at me. So anyway, to kind of keep us on track, I thought I'd just make a little bit of an outline. So I'll be referring to this, and you guys hop in whenever you want. Kind of a prelude to my voiceover career is I was always kind of enamored with radio. And I remember going to the Dane County Fair in the early 70s. Maybe I was 10, 11 years old. And a radio station that's still here in the Madison area, WISM 1480 AM, 98.1 FM, they did a live remote there. And some of the people that I had listened to for a long time, like Clyde Coffey, that was his name. He was the morning guy. And Bill Short with sports.
What a name for Clyde Coffey.
Yeah.
In the morning.
Yeah. It wasn't his name. It was a Nick. Yeah. It was an on-air name. Jonathan W. Little, a guy that actually hired me for voiceover work later on, worked at that station. Bob Abella. You guys have met Bob.
Yep, just
and so they were kind of the station. They were a top 40 station, and they were cool, and they were hip. And so I remember going to the Dane County Fair in Madison, Wisconsin, and we went to this one area, and they were doing a live broadcast, and I was enamored and hooked. I thought, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to do radio. And so that was maybe when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. And so when I got to be a sophomore, junior in high school, a friend of my older brother's brother who graduated in 1976, 2 years before me, he got an overnight job. This is before voice tracking and automation and stuff. So if you had your station on all night, then you had somebody there. And he worked the overnight at a country station. An AM station that had to shut down was right next door, just across the hallway. And so he'd go in there, and I went in with him overnight, and I'd play radio, talk into the mic, play, commercials, all sorts of stuff, and just kind of have my own radio show. I did that 3 or 4 times with him, and I thought that was just great. And so I decided to go into radio as a career. I went to a small college. They had a broadcasting department and a campus station. I started working on there in the fall of 1978. I got there in August of 78. By, November, I had weaseled my way in to the radio station and had a shift there. And so from 1978 to 81, when I graduated, I worked on the station, and I helped start a radio station in Tomah, Wisconsin. And then I was hired on as the station manager and department head of, by that time, a citywide radio station. I was there for about 7 or 8 years, and in like 1985 or 86, I got a call from somebody that I'd done some editing work for. He had heard me on the radio, and they had a short 1-page, 60-second little radio advertisement that they wanted. I drove across town, did the script all the way back in 1 hour, and they sent me a check for $60.
Wow.
Now, I was making $10,000 a year, and so $60 was a lot of money. And I thought to myself, I've got to get more of this. This is something that I want. But in the 80s and even into the 90s, there just wasn't any opportunity. You either had to live in New York or LA or Chicago, go to a studio. Home studios just out of the question because they were $60,000 for all of the equipment. And you had to send everything by cassette or reel to reel.
True.
There's just no way.
No internet.
No internet. Yeah. And so I was in part-time or full-time radio from 1978 to 2008, almost 30 years nonstop in some form or another. So that was that. That was kind of the precursor. I had a full-time job and a part-time radio gig for most of those years, but I couldn't do anything else because, the internet wasn't up, home studios, plus I had a wife and 6 kids. And so I had to pay the bills, and radio and this other job was what I had to do. So in 2011, I lost my full-time job and wasn't in radio anymore because it was 2008 when I quit. And I dove into voiceover. I wanted to try it. I didn't know how it would go. I didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know how to get any work. And so I just started contacting local businesses. I contacted our local hospital and I met with them. They thought it was a great idea to do their telephone messaging. We had meetings. I met with several of the board. I wrote up a script. And we got to the point where it's just, I didn't know how to take my voice and get it onto their system. Oh. And they didn't know either. So it was like that, like hours and hours of work, meeting with them, calling them, writing the script, doing the work, and nothing happened.
Tough.
And so I kept doing that and doing that at local businesses. I would get some people to say, yeah, we can, have you do it. And I think I made a little bit of money here and there, but from August of 2011 to December of 2011, that was when, and I don't know exactly, it was really pretty early on, I was searching YouTube and I found Bill DeWess. And I liked Bill because there wasn't a lot out there for VO coaches at that point, but he seemed to just be kind of a simple business, common sense businessman. And that resonated with me. And he started to talk early on about, where do you get work? Well, you don't go to local businesses or even national businesses because they usually farm it out to an ad agency or a video production company. Oh, okay. So video production companies. So I started contacting video production companies, Googling it. The same thing that you boys do for VO Marketing Pro and my assistant Andy still does, just digging for video production companies, ad agencies, voice rosters, e-learning companies, those types of things. I did, at that point, starting in about 2012, I did voices.com. I did ACX, which is Audible, which is Amazon. And I did direct email marketing. And right up here where we are was where my office used to be. And I had my computer up here and I would send out email templates, send out email templates if they wanted me to send something out or do an audition, run all the way down to the basement to my whisper room and send that out, run back up here and start doing cold calls and email marketing. And I just did that like a fiend, nonstop. 8 hours a day. When I wasn't working, I was doing direct marketing. And that's kind of where you kind of started. You helped us a little bit financially, gave us a loan to pay our bills during those early days. And you were right there marketing. You kind of helped with invoicing, encouragement. And,
did he do any editing? Or not?
I don't think
point?
John did any editing.
You had plenty of time still for that yourself,
Well, I did.
probably.
Yeah, good question. Drew was actually in between college and working, and so he did a lot of my audiobook editing. For 3 years, I think I did about 30 audiobooks total in those 3 years. And they're a lot of work. So you say, 30 in 3 years. That's one, almost one after another. And that was almost all residual, not per finished hour. I did a few of those. But yeah, so that was the first year. And I don't know, I think you're going to have Damon put up my years and my income from Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just was going to ask what, not that this is a huge deal, but did you get your Whisper Room your first year that you started?
I think it was the next summer, if I remember right.
And do you remember what type of microphone you had? Just not that it's a big deal.
I had an Electro Voice RME 30.
Okay.
It was a real nice $300-400 basically radio announcer.
Oh, okay.
Didn't have a lot of nuances and stuff, but it could take, lots of different voice. Well, I mean, we had them at the radio stations that I worked at. So they're workhorse type things. And so, yeah, I had one of those for maybe a year or so before I got my TLM 103 or 2. In 2011, I made, in those months with voices.com, maybe a little bit of direct marketing, a local maybe, and I can't remember exactly. I know the number, I know the figure. And then some ACX books, I made $11,000, which doesn't seem too bad, but I thought I was, really smoking. I thought I was really going great guns. So in 2012, I really started doing direct email marketing. Whenever I didn't have a job, and I've told this story before, my wife Becky would say, "Any jobs for tomorrow?" "Nope." "You got anything on the line?" "Nope." And that's just the way it was. But I just got up with a hunger and thirst for marketing, direct marketing. I just didn't know any better. So I just did it, and it seemed to be working. I was getting some responses and I was able to send demos and things like that. And my goal was that year of 2012, I had a goal of $125 a week. $125 a week. And I started to make that. And sometimes, like I mentioned Bob Abella, I'd go into Madison and he would have a $125 or a $200 job for me. And it's like, yeah, I'd take that all the time.
And this was before Upwork, Fiverr,
Yeah.
any of these things
Correct.
were around. So direct email marketing was kind of the only, other than voices.com, ACX, that was kind of the way to get, it still is, not that but to get started, you had to jump into the deep water right away, the deep end.
Yeah, and some people can maybe, correct me on this, but because I didn't have time to be watching a lot of different coaches and mentors, and there just wasn't that much out there. And I don't think there was that much out there talking about direct marketing, because we were still, think about it, that was 13, 14 years ago. And we still have this mindset of agents, and some people still think I got to go to LA and I got to go to New York to really make it. And so that was even a lot more 10, 12, 14 years ago, that mentality. So there just wasn't that, I don't think there were that many people doing direct marketing. Not that I was a pioneer or anything like that, but I just think that was, just the way it was. So then in 2013, did I say I made $36,000 that year? I don't remember.
2012.
In 2012, made $36,000. By 2013, I had picked off a really good client from Atlanta, and they used me lots. In fact, I think I made $15,000 to $20,000 that year from them. And I did stuff for Verizon, like e-learning stuff for Verizon and training and things like that. And that year I made $65,000, but there was a problem. And the problem was this. My ability to do voiceover and edit quickly was still on the learning curve. And they were sending me enough work that I was like, ooh, I better not do too much marketing. Otherwise, I'm going to get in trouble here and I'm not going to be able to put the work out. And so my marketing went down that year. So the next year, I did the same stuff, but because I relied on that client, even though I knew intellectually I shouldn't do that, the next year I made $59,000, which, by the way, was $10,000 more than I had ever made in my life. But I went backwards that year from 65 down to 59 because of a lack of continuing to market. And that's what I tell people all the time is you have to market. And if you think you're getting busy, don't get too worried about it. Just
Double
keep
down on
marketing.
that marketing,
Yeah, just keep
yeah.
marketing, because you'll have dry spots. And it's a little bit like the crack of a whip. You get that first thing there and you say, okay, got it. But then that whip kind of snaps. And that's what happens with market. You get some jobs. And then if you stop marketing, boom. Especially if you don't have a lot of clients. So you gotta market and build that book of business so that you have more and more people coming back to you. I'll stop there in case somebody has any comments about that. John was helping me just part-time, kind of not for, I don't know if for any pay even. I can't remember. Did I even pay you?
I don't think probably until 2016 when I started to help out with your Fiverr did I see any sort of, and even 2016 was kind of not a ton. If I remember correctly, not a ton that you made in 2016 or 2016 with your Fiverr. So made a little percentage of the Fiverr jobs once you started making money on that. So that was nice.
We've got to make up for all those lost years of you not getting paid. So in 2014, I made $59,000 through direct marketing, still ACX and voices.com. By that time, like I said, I'd done about 30 audiobooks, and I was getting busy enough with direct marketing that I stopped doing audiobooks because they're just a lot of work. I didn't really enjoy it that super much. Some people really enjoy it, and that's fine. In 2015, through direct marketing and voices.com and a little residual income from ACX, I made $81,000. I thought I had arrived. Because that was like, wow, $81,000. I think when we took all of our expenses off, I think we still cleared like $62,000. It was just fantastic. And it was that year that I started to ponder, what if I had somebody that would market for me all the time, at least part-time, spend their time digging and building a database and really just having it go day in and day out, a few hours a day.
I remember us wrestling with that a lot because you had that downturn in 2014 and this was starting to get better, but you were like, oof, can I afford to pay somebody, whatever, and also pay my bills, and so that if all of a sudden things just start to go south again or something doesn't come through. So I remember that being quite the decision. Yeah. That the family was pondering. So that's a good point. I really wrestled with that because I'm quite conservative, and I didn't want to ruin my fledgling business. I mean, that was in 2015. So basically, I did 2012, 13, 14, and then during 15. So it's like 3.5 years old, and that's what we say. You're still in that fledgling kind of tender plant life, if you will, of you're rolling the boulder up the hill. You're still pushing. But I had done enough direct marketing, and you had helped, that I was confident that I was going to keep going up. I didn't know to what degree, but I had built a pretty good book of business already, and it seemed like people were wanting to use me, and I was getting more confident. And so I hired my assistant, Andy. He's still with me, in January of 2016. And then for 12 hours every single week, he digs and stays in front of people and sends out mass emails. And now he also keeps kind of the master database that you guys own as VO Marketing Pro. He's done a very, very good job. You wouldn't find many people outside of our family that would be as good of an employee as he has been. So hiring him first was the best decision I ever made. Which is why, and this is, it's just a little commercial for VO Marketing Pro. If you don't have the time to do marketing yourself, we obviously think you should always do the hybrid approach, which is you do it. But that's where VO Marketing Pro can come in, where for a fraction of the cost of what I pay Andy, you can have emails sent out so that if you get busy, or so that if you're sick, or so that you go on vacation, marketing is still happening. And that's what I like about having an assistant. And marketing just goes. I'm out on my tractor in the fall, beautiful time, raking leaves like I like to do, and I'm not worried that there's no marketing going on. And so
marketing. And that's what VO Marketing Pro does for people, again, for the fraction of a cost of what I pay my assistant. The next year, in 2016, I made $137,000. From 81 to 137,000. And I tell people, don't plan on that your first year. People say, what? Your first year of having an assistant, you upped it by whatever that is, 19 and 37, $56,000. Well, of course not, because I had done 3 years of direct marketing with Jonathan's help, like a wild man, and cold calls.
On your own time.
On
without
my own
being
time.
paid even anything for it per se.
Right.
Unless you got a job.
Correct. Yeah. So in 2016, that was like, boom. I know that marketing plan is going to continue to work because I made $137,000. I did direct email marketing, voices.com, and Jonathan talked me into getting on Fiverr, which in hindsight, I'm very, very thankful. Foresight, I was doing it as a favor to you because you said, well, I'll run it and just do it. And I'll take whatever, between 10 and 20% depending on the job. Well, there were so many, as you guys well know, when you're on Fiverr, there's a lot of $5 jobs or $15 jobs. And it was tough when I was doing direct marketing jobs where for a 2-minute explainer video, I was getting $250, and then I turn around and get $8 for a 2-minute explainer on Fiverr. And like I've said, I was grumpy for 2 years with Fiverr. But I just found out that, and we weren't very busy, like you said, for the first 3 years.
Correct.
But then after that, after a gig review from somebody that knows Fiverr well, we made the jump to top-rated seller, and Fiverr was a little bit in its heyday at that point. And so I can't remember exactly. I'll get to that. But just this last week, we crossed the $450,000 mark on Fiverr. And the first few years, there just wasn't that much.
No.
Nice hamburger money you got there.
Hamburger money is right. But I thank you.
Yep.
And I bless you for getting me on Fiverr. So that's
I'm still angry at Fiverr at this point, but
no, I can still be
there's a lot of
grumpy
people
with
that
I've
Fiverr.
started.
Yeah.
There's
It's
good
love-hate.
reason.
It's
There's a
love
good
hate.
reason.
We've talked with other people that are on Fiverr, and they make really good money on Fiverr, but there's the ever presence of it being a love-hate relationship. That's for sure.
It's a tiger by the tail.
So in 2016, I hired my first assistant for 12 hours, Andy. In 2017, I kind of hired Mom. We had enough money in our coffers to be able to hire her part-time as the financial assistant. She does a great job of doing the invoicing and staying on top of that. She also edits kind of as an overflow editor. I did direct marketing, voices.com and Fiverr, and we cracked the multiple six figures in 2017. It was 201,000. I'm rounding down on all of these. I didn't make exactly 201,000. It was 201 something and cents, but I just round down for ease of viewing. 2018, direct marketing again, voices.com, Fiverr. By that time, Andy was probably through the database, a fairly large database by that time, maybe 8,000, gone through it 1 or 2 times. He was digging like crazy. I hired a second assistant, Phil, who he did editing for me because I did a lot of e-learning work. And anytime he worked 30 hours for me, anytime he wasn't editing, he did marketing for me. More direct marketing. And trust me, there were weeks where I didn't have a ton of editing and he was working, feverishly picking off 300-400 new contacts. So by 2018, I had a marketing assistant, I had a financial assistant, and an editing assistant that were, about a full-time and a half employee, the combined. 2018, I made $211,000 with direct marketing, Fiverr and voices.com. 2019, Fiverr started to go up. I made $231,000 with those 3 things. 2020, Fiverr kind of
crazy.
Yeah,
$100,000, $98,000 you jumped up from 2019 to 2020.
Yes.
A lot of that was Fiverr, wasn't it?
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Fiverr was so
Fiverr
busy.
was starting to get
There was
going.
a time like in July or August of that year that it was we had changed our gig up to move more and more money because it was coming. The jobs were coming in so fast, and so many of them throughout a week.
Stop.
Yeah,
That was
it
like
starts
we-
driving me
He
crazy.
was. I remember a couple of times. I can remember you sitting over on your chair that you like to sit in and saying, "We got to make this stop." And then we made a change. I remember. It was still coming in, and we had made the change.
It
up
almost
to
got
another,
worse there
It almost
because
got worse.
I think
'cause
you
we-
changed
yeah.
it and they rewarded us for
Yep.
changing it.
Yep, which was
Good.
a great problem to have. But it was, I remember them. It was almost a panic because we were having to. You were working so much doing Fiverr jobs, and they were a lot better. They were getting a lot better pay, but they were still lots and lots of work. So
I think one time I did 45 projects in a week
From Fiverr.
For Fiverr. That was on top of voices.com, a few, and my direct marketing. It was like 75 projects. And of course with Fiverr, sometimes you're not making the most, but you're still, and this is what I explained to Jonathan, you're still dealing with a client. It's still a client.
Yeah.
And you still have revisions and you still have to service them. So that was crazy. That year, 2020 was $329,000. 2020 Fiverr, I think, was the biggest ever. I look back, that was $112,000. I think that was 20 and 21 was when it was crazy, especially in the summer. And my income with direct marketing, voices.com and Fiverr went down a little bit, but there's always a reason. And you got to identify what that reason is when your income goes down. Maybe it's that you're not working as hard. Maybe it's the economy. Maybe it's like now AI and some of the things that are happening in the world. But for me, it was VO Marketing Pro started those 2 years.
Yep.
And so I poured a lot of resources into that, and a lot of marketing of mine actually went towards, getting VO Marketing Pro kind of off the ground. So I was fine with that, and I'll be fine with that in the future if I start to slow down a bit.
I started in 2021.
Yeah,
as well.
that's
in
right.
April of 20.
Yeah.
Started in before
Good
Christmas. We were practicing, and you were helping me out, and I was building my hobo for it. Anyway, that's not my journey we're talking about, but that's another reason you were helping me out.
Our battery is running low there. I don't know if that's okay.
That's okay.
or not.
We'll get through this year.
battery on the computer,
I'll clean
right?
this up. So 319, I went from 329 in 2020 to 319, even though my income in Fiverr went up quite a bit in 2021. 2022, I made the most ever, and I think I'm not going to get there this year. It'd be almost impossible. It would be impossible.
And like you had said in the last year, we have some reasons why. We know why.
Correct. Yep. 2022, I made $331,000 with direct marketing, voices.com. Fiverr was like $79,000. And I started Upwork, and I think I made maybe $1,000 or something that year in Upwork. So this year, 2023, we're recording this first week of October. So far, I've made $230,000. I'm happy with that. I don't know if I'll reach the 300,000 mark. We're going to have to hustle a bit. I do direct marketing still, a little bit of voices.com, though that has changed for me. Fiverr continues to stay. I think I'm at, what did I say? What does it say there? Is it
$54,000?
$54,000, yeah.
$54,000 so far in Fiverr. And Upwork, maybe I have a $3,000 in Upwork so far. Maybe we can just, I don't know if you have any other questions, but one of the things that I think about a lot in my 14 years is I don't know if I had the best plan. And even if I had a good plan, I don't know if I worked it perfectly. I just had a simple plan that seemed to work. And so I just worked that plan. I've said that a lot to people that watch these things. Get a simple plan that works and then work that plan. And I've had to tweak over the years. You can see that I didn't do direct marketing up until the second year. I did ACX a lot and voices.com. There hasn't been that many things that have stayed exactly the same. And now, just lately, voices.com founder, CEO David Ciccarelli, he stepped down. So that's going to change again, I'm sure. There's more freelance things coming on the scene. We've got AI. And I'm still having to kind of listen carefully, but I still have a basic plan that works, and I just keep working that plan day in and day out. And so I don't know what else there is to say.
Going through it with you, I remember those times I would sit up here and just look through. I would just look through different, go through Google and send out emails and keep track of those things. But there was, I kind of remember not thinking like, well, I don't even know if those emails will come back, but I just knew that that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I don't mean to make a plug for
VOMP.
But that's what we're doing. It's not, we know that it works now, but that's what we're doing. I mean, Joe sends out every day of the week that we're here, or that we're here most of the time. I mean, the beginning of the month, as we've said to people, if they watch the numbers, we make some cleanup work, and every once in a while we go on vacation. But other than that, we send out, and you don't know. You get warm responses back, and we report those, but sometimes you don't get them for quite some time, or it's a couple touches that you have to go through. So I just remember thinking, I don't know for sure if this is working, but this is just what we have to do. And it's obvious that over time it does work. And so some people don't have the luxury of, you lost your job, and so this is what you had. And just, I remember going on drives and saying, there'd be a company and said, I don't want to look back and say, I didn't give it my all on this. I don't want to go back and do a 9-to-5 job. And some people either like it or they don't have another choice. They've got mortgages, they've got, kids that are in school, they got so many other things going on. So that we're very sympathetic and understand that everybody's situation is different. That's why we say your business is your business and it's none of our business. But sticking with it in direct email marketing, we say that all the time, and I think people maybe hear that a lot. But I think this journey proves that sticking with it does work. And I, from an example, I remember you saying that Mom would ask questions as, well, you got any jobs this week? And I remember having access to your email and looking consistently to see if there was a job coming in for you. And lots of times there wasn't. And just kind of sticking with the plan and not getting all hot and bothered by that and not giving up. Because if you would have given, there's a good chance, if I'm you, with all the things where the obstacles that when you're away, your son, meaning me, having to help with some of your bills in 2011 and 12. I remember our Christmases were they never were overly extravagant as it was. But
I don't think we got anything.
We didn't
Christmas,
get hardly anything those
fine.
years, which was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, we've been through those hard times, and I remember those happening, and you still just didn't know what was going to happen. For some reason, I thought that if we just kept doing it, things would work out. And that's what we believe at VO Marketing Pro is if you stick with it. And we're seeing that for people, especially the ones that are staying with it. Mm-hmm. And as you can see, you might not make much the first couple of years. So you've got to find a way to get income. You got to find a way to get income other way, or, maybe your wife or your husband works, however the situation is. But sticking with direct email marketing, that's the backbone to all of your jobs here. And so people that sometimes say, well, I've given it time and it's just not working, or
3 months,
whatever.
6 months,
and
9
that's
months.
Again, that's not an attack on the person. There's lots of circumstances, so you have to do what's best. But I don't believe that it doesn't work over time.
It took Dad 4 years to get to $80,000, and 4 of those years he was doing direct email marketing. 4 years.
So if you can't afford a company like us, which is, to be completely honest, we are quite cheap compared to what other companies or what
what it would cost you to do,
what you
or
cost
what
you to do
it.
Right. Because I've gone through. I do when I don't have anything to do, which isn't a ton of time that I have when I'm not working for things for people for VO Marketing Pro. But if I don't have time, I do the same thing. I go and look for new contacts, and it takes time to do. And so paying somebody to do that, it's going to cost a lot more than $100 a month or whatever, plus maybe a percentage if you're doing that. But if you can't afford that, understandable. But I wouldn't give up on direct email marketing, or if you've tried it for a while with us, I wouldn't give up. If you decide to go somewhere else, I wouldn't give up on direct email marketing, because it does work. And we're seeing that with Hudson. We're seeing it with the members that are a part of our group that have stuck with it for a long time. So,
as far as I know, and this I hope this doesn't come off as bragging. It's just, it's just a fact. Last year I was $800 shy of $200,000 in direct marketing income. And so I don't know, you might know of somebody that A, provides their numbers, and B, makes $200,000 in direct marketing. I don't know of anybody that does. Again, I've had so much help. I don't do much direct marketing myself. Jonathan
I thought you were
did
going
it.
to say you don't do much in general. You don't do much in general.
That's fair.
And so that helps your business out quite a bit too, because you don't really go anywhere besides the mailbox.
True. I'm a homebody. There's no doubt about it. But $200,000, I don't know of too many people that make that. I don't know of anybody that makes that. So I think that if there's an area that there might be some expertise and experience in, some valuable experience, I think that we've proven that. You're proving that with your direct marketing. You most likely will be in your third year, you'll be in the top 25% of earners, which it's not a ton of money. It's $40,000.
NAVA. Right? Yeah.
Yep. And you guys grew up watching this and helping, and you do the same things that I do for people of VOMP. And so there's a type of faith, if you will. Faith is basically whatever it is. Faith is doing something right without knowing
believing that the outcome is going to be
the outcome. The outcome isn't for sure. And so there's a faith that there is with direct marketing. And I just had that. I just thought, I've got to make this work. I'm going to make this work. And so I just did. And that's kind of the mentality you have to have, whether you do yourself, you have VO Marketing Pro do it, or you have a hybrid approach. You've got to have that kind of faith. I'm going to do the right thing. Same thing as saying, get a good, simple plan that works and work that plan. It's a type of faith because you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You're expecting that to happen.
I guess there's an opportunity to feel. There's a lot of feelings that go involved to it too. You can be one day you can wake up and say, "Oh, I got to market again, or I got to do this or that," but not riding that roller coaster, as we say, because it's tempting. Because it's just such a, you have no clue. You're sending out to ABC Video Production Company, and then you're sending it to DEF Video Production Company, and you're sending out lots of them, and it's like nothing's coming back, or hey, we don't have anything, or we don't have anything, or we don't use it, or you might, if you do it the right, in the correct way, if you will, having unsubscribe, you might get some unsubscribes, or you might get a person that's grumpy with you, or whatever.
You will
there's
get
a lot of
that's
that.
grumpy with you. You will.
And so you can say like, oh no. And then there might be weeks where you do really well and you're like, ooh, this is really working. And then you don't do your direct email marketing. But not writing that it's not as easy as it's not as easy as you think. And so we understand that too. And that's what we're here to help too, is with the mindset as well, because it's a day in, day out. That's what faith is too, is this not allowing yourself to go up and down with that, and having people that can help you, remind you of what your steps are. And so, anyway.
Yeah, I just was going to say, if you're somebody who's just starting direct email marketing by yourself, you're not having us do it for you. If you're slow, which you most likely will be. I was slow. I would encourage you to, if you maybe have a project here or there, or looking at Upwork, looking at Fiverr, whatever you can do to try to find jobs to audition for. If you're sitting there and that's taking you 2-3 hours, and you've got 3-4 more hours of your day, I would say go and look for direct email marketing clients, because that's mentally you'll be able to do something, and that'll get your mind off of worrying about things.
Yeah.
And so you can do something instead of sitting there and saying, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. Well, spend it looking for direct email marketing clients if you're going to do it by yourself, because then you're at least doing something. You're not sitting there thinking, okay, I've done all my auditions and everything like that. Now what do I do? Market. So anyway, thank you guys for doing that. Thanks, Dad.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks to one of our viewers for asking that question about Dad's journey. We will be doing more videos like this, so you can check them out in the listener viewer questions playlist.
It'd be great to have some feedback or more questions. We can springboard off of this conversation.
Certainly. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you on the next video that we do.